The following presentation is brought to you by Snap House, Houston-based photography services.
As a person of color, and specifically a black person, and at every level in this country, there is going to be levels of discrimination, and that's just the way it is. And you will deal with that. I dealt with that throughout my life in different forms. I grew up in Nigeria, so it was a huge wake up for me coming back to the United States and kind of realizing some of the more ignorant things that people, and I think it's going to sound like I'm not giving people a pass, but almost an innocent ignorance, not realizing how ridiculous some of their perceptions were about black people, about Africans, about African Americans were, and so you kind of deal with that subtly as you're going through, and you start to realize that this is a thing that permeates in certain parts of just the culture here in our country. And specifically in school, I think for me, I went to a Chapman University, which is a it's a private school, a great school, but I think the black population's got to be like 2% or something like that. It's really, if that, really, really small. I was often the only black person in my class, almost every single class I was in. And I think what I had to realize was, I was blessed to have such a strong family set up and such a strong kind of background within my home that I stopped noticing that I was the last black person. I just acted like I didn't care. I wasn't defensive about it. I didn't have a chip on my shoulder about it, but I realized that in those classes, there were always, even the best teachers, there was always an expectation from me that was a lot lower than what I could do. I went into classes where I could tell right away they didn't expect much from me. So that became, I guess, my extra chip was, okay, you don't think I got this, and I'm gonna show you that I got it. That was an attitude that drove me big time. And a lot of things was, I knew that you didn't expect me to be the guy who was gonna answer that question. You didn't expect me to be the guy to jump to the forefront of that project, so I'm gonna jump to the forefront of that project to prove a point. There's a little bit of a fighter in me when it comes to that. So that was a thing that I established in school that now in the industry I am still taking in to what I do. As a writer, I go into writing meetings with people who have read my script, have never met me. Okay, they've seen my name on a script, and okay, that name sounds African, or who knows what it is, but they just don't know what to think. And when I come in, most of the times, it's the first time that they're seeing me and seeing what I look like. And, most people are not reacting in any way, but I can tell half of the time that they're not sure what to expect. So I usually go into those meetings with the edge of, I'm gonna leave this meeting letting you see that I know what I'm talking about and that I have a right to be here. Obviously the work is spoken for itself, but that's a big part of it for me, is knowing that whether people realize it or not, they have created sometimes a bias against you based on whatever their preconceived notions are, whatever their experiences are in their life, whatever stereotypes have been passed down to them. You will come across people who don't expect you to be able to do what you can do, who underestimate what you can do, or downright don't want you there. That's rare. I'm not seeing that as blatantly anymore, because it's technically a liberal town, but those things are there, and you have to go through and break those ceilings. And for me, it was all about proving with the work and going in there knowing that I deserve to be in that room. I deserve to be able to have that conversation, and I can stand up in front of anybody and state what I'm there for, as much as the next person. Networking with people in this industry has been huge in that regard, because in school, I had friends of all races, and some of my very closest friends are Caucasian, Hispanic, and that really opened up the perspective of how limiting, our networks can be when we stick only to our own people, because I've been able to, like, have doors open for me because of the people I work with that I knew wouldn't come my way, not necessarily because somebody's trying to be racist or not give it to a person of color. They just want to help out their friend. And who's their friend? Most likely it's the guy they grew up with. And most likely the guy they grew up with or the girl they grew up with is somebody from their ethnic background. So most times they're going to give the job or the opportunity to somebody who looks like them or is in their circle. And how do you get in that circle if you never break out of your circle? So I think one thing, I know I've said a few things around here, but one thing that was important for me was to connect with people who were not just of my ethnic background, not just Africans, not just African Americans, but connect with people of every race who we shared the same passion. And there's lots of good people who don't care about all that. They just want to, they just want to make good work. And when you bond, you bond. And then we were able to bring our network together. And all of a sudden I'm having opportunities that I realized I wouldn't have had because I just would never have met that person if I didn't have this friend or this connection that put me in a room next to them. You've heard the saying many times, it's not what you know or who you know. And it's very true. I think it is important to know stuff, but who you know is a very, very big part of the opportunities you get in this industry.